Hey everybody, Katie Sutton here, intuitive channel and founder of Zen Within Academy and the New Earth Now School with your March 2024 energy update. Got 3 very powerful themes to share with you this month. The first is softening the hard edges. The second is embodying your radiance. And the third is coming home to you. All right, everybody, happy March. I can barely believe that we're already here in the 3rd month of the year. Although I will say that at least the back half of February was incredibly intense for me. Lots of shifts and really big timeline jumps that I experienced in February. And I'm excited to see what March brings as we get ready to move into spring here in the Northern Hemisphere. We have the equinox coming up. And then as we get ready to move into April with the eclipse energies coming in, I suspect that March is going to be a very transformational month for all of us. So let's talk a little bit about the first theme that I want to share with you this month. And this first theme is called softening the hard edges. So last month we had some work that we needed to do, a lot of work actually, around dropping into a greater degree of trust with the universe and trust that we are being supported. And I watched many of you that I had in session with me or in class with me or in workshops with me really diligently working on your connection to source, your connection to the universe, and really trying to drop into a state of flow and a state of trust with that. And I can feel that we're getting into that river of flow and that there is a bit of a shift happening at the collective level where those of us who have been doing this work for quite some time are really trying to embody that deeper level of trust. And what I'm noticing as we move into March is that we might get a little tested. We might have some hard edges come up that we might come up against, if you will, in our life experience. We might have a few places where there are some bumps in the road and some friction where we're being tested if we truly believe and trust that we are supported. And so one of the qualities that the guide shared with me that can help us as we move through this month where we might have a few tests, we might have a few bumps in the road, is to really soften, right? So they gave me this image of just imagining that I could soften my energy field and kind of work into softening around and almost into some of these hard edges or these tests or these initiations that we might go through. And what I kind of envision is it's almost like we're making ourselves a little bit more pliable, a little bit more flexible. And so how you might embody this is if you have something that pops up that feels like a test or a triggering energy, how can you soften into what is and see if you can be a bit more flexible in the face of that trigger, right? So you might have a situation that you encounter or a person that you encounter that is creating a trigger for you or is activating maybe some aggression into your field, or they're coming at you a little bit with a test. How can you soften? How can you soften your breath? How can you soften your body? How can you soften your reactions? And what I also feel in this softening is it's almost like we're allowing our feminine essence to come forward a bit so that we can exist in more compassion, we can exist in more grace, we can exist in more kindness. And I think it's important that we extend this softening to ourselves as well. How can we meet what is with a greater degree of kindness and compassion, with a greater degree of grace, so that we are not in battle with things? From time to time, we work on clearing out some of this battle energy, and I really see that kind of coming up again here in the month of March. I'm already seeing, especially here in North America, in the United States, a lot of stuff getting triggered around politics and duality and lots of different opinions. And my invitation to you is when you get met with that energy and it's counter to your vibration or counter to your truth, how can you just soften and allow the person across from you to have their experience and not go into that place of judgment and separation, and just allow your field to be more pliable, if you will? And if they're directing insults or they're directing energy at you, can you just let that move through your energy body and not allow it to stick, not allow it to create a reaction inside of you? And this is really about us seeing that 95% of what we experience in relation from other people and relationships with other people is projection, right? And if we know that their reaction to us, especially if we are really operating in our highest and greatest, is just a projection of their own difficulties that they're experiencing, their own triggers, their own traumas, then we can have a greater degree of softness. We can meet that energy with a greater degree of softness. And so I think this is going to be a real important month for you all, especially if you are holding anger or frustration internally, to allow that to soften. And we are moving into spring here in the Northern Hemisphere, as I said, and that's liver time, right? So this is when we start to activate into that liver, and the liver controls and is connected to our anger energy, right? And so we might need to do some things to support a release of any anger that's coming up, and see how we can soften, see how we can support our bodies as we transition into liver season here as we move into spring. By the way, the liver loves bright green things, right? It loves really nice green energy in the morning. So it's a great time to start bringing out your juicer and getting some detox happening as we move into spring, as we move later into March. Okay, so that is the first theme of softening the hard edges. And I really invite you to tune into what softness means to you. Softness does not mean disempowered. Softness does not mean weak, right? What does softness mean for you? Some of the most empowered people that I know are able to drop into this state of softness and allow what is to be. Okay? So let's talk about your second theme, embodying your radiance. I saw a lot of energy that we were working through in February around adopting and adapting into our unique expression and honoring our unique expression, our authentic selves, and in February. And I noticed that we had a lot of body image and self-confidence stuff get triggered in February. And so the invitation as we move into March is to start to embody more of your inner light, more of your inner radiance, and shine that as brightly as you can without dimming it to make other people feel okay about themselves, right? So theme of embodying your radiance is really about you tapping into your deepest potential, your deepest authentic expression, and getting over the fears that you have to be seen and heard, okay? This is really about you starting to put yourself out there in your most, full expression. And what I've noticed with a lot of people is that we seem to be moving through a little bit of a solar plexus upgrade. And as we're starting to embody more of this radiance, you might notice that there's some support needed in that solar plexus region. So you might be hearing a bit of a theme here. We've got the liver in the solar plexus region as well. How can you support this inner light within you, this inner radiant chakra, in being the most whole and fulfilled expression of you? And there are a lot of things that don't support the solar plexus and keep us out of our inner radiance. Things like comparison energy and jealousy energy, and looking to what other people are doing to basically tell us how we need to express. So this is not a time to be looking on social media and comparing yourself to others, right? If you find yourself falling into that loop this month, my encouragement to you is to pull back from that and really get in your own lane. Focus on what it is that you came here to do in this lifetime. What is your highest expression of joy? What is your highest expression of fulfillment? And how can you take some action, bring some forward movement into making those goals a reality? Because we still have all of our planets in a very direct motion this month, right? Until we get to the beginning of April, where we start to have a few things move into retrograde, we have a lot of forward motion. And so this is the month where we really need to activate into that highest vision that we have had for ourselves. We did a lot of work in February to shed and step out of some old paradigms. And as we move into March, we really want to own our inner radiance and embody it fully. So, great time to take care of you, a great time to put yourself first, a great time to get yourself back out there. If you haven't been dating, you want to get out onto the dating scene. If you have a new business idea or something you want to launch, this is a great month to get that energy moving forward and to call in as much support as you can from the universe, right? To help you to launch these things, to help you to get back out there, to help you to have that inner confidence and continue to embody that. And so I really want you to think about orienting around the solar plexus in its fullness and what that would look like if you were to embody that out in the world. Okay, so that's the second theme of embodying your radiance. So let's talk about the third theme. So before I talk about this one, which is coming home to you, I just want to tap in with you all and see, I'm curious, so you need to comment on this video and let me know. I had a really interesting experience at the end of February on Leap Day where it was very obvious to me that I was going from one version of myself into another version of myself that was very different than what I was expressing in before. And I noticed that this leap year day, this day out of time, really catapulted me into a new beginning. And it was almost startling because it immediately got reflected back to me in conversations around me where people were seeing me and really clearly seeing me in a way that I hadn't gotten that feedback in the past. And so I'm curious if any of y'all experience this. Comment and let me know, because what I'm seeing as we move into March with this theme of coming home to you is that we have been visioning and holding some desires and some goals for ourselves out almost in front of our energy field as versions that we want to step into, as expressions of self that we want to own. And some of us have been, my goodness, holding these visions for a really long time, and we have had to fight to get to the place where we can embody them. And we spent so much time clearing energy and so much time unwinding from patterns and programmings, and we didn't know if we were going to be able to step into it. And I am really feeling like there is a culmination point happening as we move into March, and we are going to be able to come home to ourselves, meaning that we are going to be able to embody these really expanded expressions of ourselves and feel that in our being and allow that to be a rooted feeling in our body. And so as we come home to ourselves, what I really mean by that is we're coming home to the highest expression that we have been able to vision for us. It is coming to a culmination point, I believe, in the month of March. And so the guides, as I'm saying this, are giving me this image of a peak point on a graph, right? We're right at the top of that hill. We're about to drop into this next version. And as that happens, all these things that we've been waiting to come into fruition can start to manifest. But it's going to require us to keep coming back to us, keep coming back to our goals, keep coming back to our values, keep coming back to what's in alignment with our highest expression, and kind of stay laser focused on that. Because there is an opportunity this month for us to get distracted and get pulled off of our center and pulled out of our rooted expression and kind of fall backwards a little bit and get a little stuck, okay? So it's going to be important that you stay pretty diligent this month so that this part of you can embody. And this may mean that you have to set some different boundaries. It may mean that you have to release some things or bring some new things in to your experience in order to fully embody this expression. And I feel like some of you are about to get really surprised by some amazing new beginnings and some amazing new things that honestly you've probably been visioning, but maybe you thought they weren't ever going to come to fruition, and they're just going to land in your lap this month. I feel a really palpable, exciting energy for a lot of us. I see in my mind's eye, as the guides are helping me to bring this through, this kind of reflection of all this golden light coming in, all this sparkly golden light, where we can really step into our highest timeline and highest expression of ourselves. ourselves. And I was just teaching a workshop over the weekend, and one of the things that I said to the women there is that if you are struggling to find home, if you are struggling to feel rooted in yourself, it doesn't matter where you go, it doesn't matter how happy you are in connection with others. If you're not feeling like you can come home to you and that's feeling solid, you're gonna never feel fully at home and fully embodied. And so I think that this theme is also about really finding that home inside of us. What does it mean to trust in that? What does it mean to feel safe and stable in that? And so this is a lot of root chakra again and solar plexus energy that we're working through here. And I do think we're going to be tapping into our higher self, but we're going to be bringing that down into our body. We're going to be bringing that down into our timelines, into this now moment, into present time. And so try to get out of your own way this month, right? Really focus on staying in alignment with the vision that you have and really avoiding the negative self-talk, really avoiding maybe having conversations with people who can't hold your joy with you. I was speaking to a client recently who was telling me that she has a hard time sharing some of her highest and greatest visions for herself with certain people in her life because she just really feels like they come in and they interrupt that energy. And so you may feel this month like these things that you're visioning, these things that you're bringing to fruition, these things that you're stepping into, you may want to hold them really sacred this month, right? There may only be a few people in your life where you can really share the excitement of these new beginnings and they won't get squashed. And that's not to say that those people in your life that can't hold that space are bad. It's just that maybe they're in their own stuff and they're not able to hold that vision and hold that excitement with you. So really be mindful of that this month. Really keep some of these things sacred and close to the vest if you need to this month to honor these new beginnings, okay? So this feels like a great month. I think that we're going to have so many new things activating, so many new beginnings coming in. And sometimes when we get in these energies where there's a lot of newness, our fear of change can come up. Our fear of the unknown can come up. And so another one of your practices as you work with this theme of coming home to you is to surrender, right? And trust. Trust that, like we talked about last month, the universe is inherently benevolent. So if something is coming to you, even if you're afraid of how it's going to impact you and how things are going to change, just trust that if your heart is singing in excitement on some level, even if there's still some fear wrapped around it, that these are positive expressions for you to step into, okay? So really stay laser focused on that this month. So lots of really good things, I think, coming in as we head into March. And we will be working on that theme of coming home to you in our healing circle, which is going to happen very soon on March 13th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And so if you'd like to work a little bit more on being in that rooted embodiment of you and embodying your higher self, but in present time, and bringing some of those qualities down into your being and feeling at home in your body and feeling safe in your highest expression, in your highest excitement, in your highest joy, and being able to own that, then I hope you will join me for our healing circle on the 13th. If you're local to Charlotte, we have some really awesome events coming up. The next is going to be on March 23rd, which is a Saturday up in Concord at Bright Haven Farm. I'm excited to bring back my sound and energy healing ceremonies that I have done for many years, and really excited to get those back up and running. We also have another soul song session, Ecstatic Dance, on April 27th, so mark your calendar for that. We have a couple of spots left for our trip to Peru in May. If you are called to go on a sacred journey to connect more deeply to your divine feminine essence and more deeply to the energies of Mother Earth and really drop into a sacred connection with her, then I hope you might consider joining us in May as we travel to Peru. And we have two amazing guides going with my husband and I. We've got some really balanced masculine and feminine energies coming in to hold that container for all of you that are joining us. All right, so that's my update for March. I hope y'all have a great month, and I will see you next time.